What's going on, Niner fam? It is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast, and it's much easier to be in front of you today after this week one victory. 49ers really beat down the the New York Jets, which I thought that this was going to be a close game. It turned out not to be, and honestly, it should have been a bigger of a beatdown than it was. But we're going to get into all of it. But first we got to hit the music.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I like to know.
are you ready for start time?
And once again, it is Peter Lucas. This is the Niner Fanatic Podcast, the home of your San Francisco 49ers. And yeah, there were some real jitters going into this game because let's just talk about it. Trent Williams just re-signed last week. No practice time all off season. No preseason workouts, no nothing. Brandon Ayuk just re-signed, which the rust was apparent. Then we get the news. We all get nervous because CMC is going to he has a calf/Achilles injury, and so of course we're a little bit nervous about that. And then the news comes out right before the game that he's not playing. And for everyone that doesn't know the 49ers, they were absolutely worried about that part. They thought that because, Christian McCaffrey isn't playing, that the 49ers, how are they going to run the ball? Well, they didn't count on a guy that we've been talking about. The friends of the show, the people that have been watching the Niner Fanatic Podcast for the last couple of years know this, that we have been talking about Jordan Mason and that this man needed to get carries for years. I don't care. Y'all can talk all the stuff you want to about him missing, running the wrong assignments. You can say all the things that you want to about, he's not getting playing time because he can't block. I don't care. I said then, and I say it now. I don't care. The man can run the ball. You can't tell me that they can't figure out a way to get him carries. And the man gets, how many carries did he get today? How many carries did he get? He got 28 carries, 147 yards, averaging 5.3 a carry and a touchdown. And honestly, he should have had 2 touchdowns. They took one away from him. Then Debo vultured one away from him for his rushing touchdown. I've been telling you guys about this guy, that he's RB1 for, I would say, a majority of teams. But the 49ers, that he's sitting behind in purgatory behind CMC. Not that, and I'm not, before you say anything, I'm not saying that he should get carries in front of CMC, but give CMC a rest. CMC shouldn't have to get a bunch of as many touches as he has to get. He shouldn't get over 400 touches when you've got a guy like that sitting on the bench waiting to be used. And he wore down this Jets defense. Let's start with the score, and the score isn't indicative of how bad of a beating this actually was. Let's just be honest. The 49ers beat the New York Jets 32-19. It sounds bad enough, but it was really worse than that. 49ers should have had at least 40 points in this game. It's not even close. The 49ers shot themselves in the foot multiple times. There was obvious rust. We heard about the vaunted Jets defense, which I fell for it as well. I thought that this defense was going to be really good, and it might be for the rest of the season. But it wasn't today. And there was just guys walking around wide open. wide open all over the field. I don't know what happened to Sauce Gardner. I'm sure we're going to hear about it in the next few hours or the next day or so. The reasoning behind, because they said it wasn't injury related. So I don't know if he just got shook or what happened, but it wasn't a good look. Can we just say that? And multiple of their players, of their main guys, were just dropping like flies. Once again, we've seen this happen with the 49ers. The 49ers were physical in this game. And this is what happens when the 49ers get physical with teams, is that they can't keep up. They can't keep up, and the 49ers end up wearing them down. That's why fans have been clamoring for this team to get back to its physical nature for at least since last year. But we got to talk about we're gonna talk about all of it. But I just wanted to start with Jordan Mason. Brock Purdy ends up going 19 to 29, 231 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, 89.9 rating. It wasn't the greatest showing by Purdy, but you know what? Like we talked about in the past, what I wanted to see from him from a growth standpoint is moving guys around the formation, which I saw him do. I wanted to see him just take command of the offense, and I felt like that's what he was doing throughout this game. His stats should have looked better than what they did. He dropped one. He should have had a touchdown to Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk dropped the ball. He couldn't have thrown a better pass. And people will say, "Oh, well, it was a tough ball to catch and all that." I don't want to hear it. You just got paid millions of dollars, and you clamored for being wide receiver one. You got to catch that. That's got to be a catch. And there was a couple of other plays which I thought Brandon Ayuk was showing obvious rust. I get it. I just want I gotta say it. I gotta say it. You've got to question, like, I mean, they paid you. They paid you what you were worth, what you said you were worth. You've got to show and prove now. Because they didn't pay you for what you did. They paid you for what you're going to do. And that's the key to the whole thing. And I don't want to get down on Brandon Ayuk because I think he is going to get into shape and he's going to make plays. But yeah, that in that situation, and it's easy to look back on it now and just say, okay, you got to do better next time because the 49ers won. But don't think that people aren't going to be paying attention to this all season long. So, but you had Jordan Mason getting majority of the carries. He got 28 carries. Debo had 8 carries, which I didn't. He only had 2.9 yards a carry. 2.9 yards a carry. And I get what they were trying to do. But the wide back stuff has got to go away. It's not fooling anybody at this point. It's not fooling anybody. If anything, you should be treating him like McCaffrey was coming out of the backfield, like on a pass play. But the whole wide back stuff I've been saying it for a while now. It's played out and it's not fooling anybody. So he's not a running back for a reason. I think those days should be over. But yeah, Debo ended up with 8 carries for 23 yards. Brock Purdy had a run for 11 yards. Then you go down to the receiving, and Juwan Jennings and Debo led the team with 5 carries or 5 receptions apiece. Juwan Jennings was the top man, like 5 receptions, 64 yards off of 5 targets. Debo 5 receptions off of 9 targets. They were trying to force feed him the ball a few times, and yeah, teams were zeroing in on Debo, which you would think would get Brandon open, but it wasn't the way it worked out. Kyle Juszczyk had more catches, I think. Yeah, he had more. He had just as many catches as Brandon Ayuk did, and for more yards. Brandon Ayuk had 2 catches for 28 yards off of 5 targets. George Kittle had 4 catches, 40 yards off of 5 targets. Jordan Mason had a catch, 5 yards. Eric Saubert was out there but he didn't catch anything. And then Malik Collins recovered a fumble. Did they have? They had one. They had one sack. The defensive line got one sack. It was technically Leonard Floyd, but it was really him and Bosa got there at the same time. But I would say that this defensive line was active and played well. I think they played well. They did really well against the run, in my opinion. I think that they got off for one long run later on in the game, which helped out Brees Hall's overall yardage. But for the most part, they shut Brees Hall down. And he did have a touchdown, but he had 16 carries for 54 yards, 3.4 average. Braylon Allen had one for 8 yards. Tyrod Taylor had a run for 7 yards. But it was – they did a really good job against the run. And I talked about it all offseason. That I said this is what the 49ers were going to get back to. The defensive line was obviously not worried. They were not just how do I put this? It wasn't like last year where it looked like they were obviously thinking about their assignments too much. They were just getting off the ball, penetrating, and letting the chips fall where they may. And once they penetrated, the linebackers were coming up and cleaning up the mess, and it was right back to the old D'Amico style. This defense looked really good. Aaron Rodgers had 13 to 21, 167 yards. I mean, he had one touchdown, one interception. And honestly, the touchdown that he had shouldn't have even. It was off a broken play. And I mean, granted, he got what he got. But yeah, I just thought that it was a masterful performance overall by the defense. So big up to Nick Sorensen. Give the man his credit. The defense looked prepared, and that's missing Dre Greenlaw. Talanoa Hufanga was out there. We didn't really hear his name much. But you saw mostly George Odom. I think they just kind of ease Talanoa in like here and there. Was he even out there? Because I don't remember ever seeing him out there. But they had him on the. No, Odom didn't even have a tackle. I thought Odom had a tackle. Was he out there? I don't think he was out there. They had him on the graphic, but I don't think he was out there. Yeah, no, he wasn't out there. Odom was out there. But honestly, the safeties weren't really tested that much in this game. I just thought it was an overall great game plan against this Jets team by the defense. They only had one sack and it was only one tackle for loss, but like I said, they kept that Brees Hall, a really good running back, to nothing. And supposedly the New York Jets offensive line was revamped and it was supposed to be much improved. We didn't see that. The 49ers got penetration at will. Malik Collins. Can we talk about Malik Collins for a second? This man is I wouldn't say he makes us forget Eric Armstead, but we have got to give this man his flowers. He absolutely gets a game ball for me. Like he was causing havoc throughout the game. He kept pushing the pocket. He kept disrupting run plays. He was everywhere. And calling this guy, and we were all calling this guy just a pass rusher, the same thing as Javon Hargrave. He looked like he was the one that was supposed to be getting the money that Javon Hargrave's getting. Let's just be honest. I thought he looked really good out there. Isaac Yiadom, mixed bag. Like I think that he played well, and he did make that play at the end of the game, which they tried to show that it was more of pass interference. It should have been called, but I mean overall, I would say it's still a work in progress with Isaac Yiadom. But I didn't think he was bad by any stretch. but he gave up a couple of plays. Diamador Lenore was kind of a mixed bag as well. He gave up a couple of plays. He was in position. He just gave up a couple of plays. And who else? Shavarius Ward was basically untouched for the most part. Uh, who else? Leonard Floyd. This defensive line, he is easily the best person that's played opposite Nick Bosa that we've had. It's just obvious. And quarterbacks are going to have to get the ball out of their hand. They're going to have to get the ball out of their hand early because these guys are going to get there. I mean, Malik Collins is a demon coming up the middle. Bosa is Bosa, and Leonard Floyd is coming. So, yeah, it was a. What's up, my guy Justin, resident Jets fan. I'm sorry for your lost brother, but it is what it is. He said, "Good game, Mason cooked us. No pressure to the QB." Yeah, it was amazing how much I was expecting there to be pressure with our offensive line, with Trent Williams not really having much practice time, not really having any practice time with the rest of the offensive line except for over the last week. But Pooney, I feel like Pooney does so much to solidify that right side of the line that they were running the ball to the right side and it was working. We couldn't do that at all last year. And if Pooney, it turned out to be that good on that side. He made McKivitz look good multiple times. Multiple times. I just thought it was. And he said 67 plays run. Oh my, what else? Yeah, it was. But I mean, but Jordan Mason did make some of that blocking look great. His vision was incredible tonight. But at the same time, the offensive line they looked a lot better than, especially the right side looked a lot better than normal. And I talked about this all off season as well. If the 49ers could ever get to a point to where they could run to that right side and the defense not really know which direction they're going, it could end up being nights like this. And that's exactly what happened. That the fact that they didn't need CMC, Jordan Mason is as good as I feel Jordan Mason is. I think that just that, being able to run to either side when the book has been out on the 49ers that they're only going to run to the left side, I think that it was a huge development. And as well as Brock, I really feel like he has a hold of this offense. I know it's not showing. I didn't show up in the numbers tonight. That he was still going up against a really good secondary. DJ Reed was playing his behind off out there. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what happened with Sauce Gardner. I'm going to be really interesting after this to go find out what happened with him. But otherwise, and even the safeties that Tony, I can't remember his last name, but their secondary play, I thought they played pretty well. But at the same time, because you're gonna have wide open guys in Shanahan's offense, it's just up to Purdy to find them. And Purdy had all day to throw for a lot of the game. But even when he didn't, he was staying in the pocket. Even when it felt like the defense was collapsing upon him, and he looked so small in the pocket, he was still getting the ball out and hitting wide receivers in the hands. I think he put maybe one or two passes in harm's way, but for the most part, he was making really good passes, really good decisions, and I think his receivers let him down a couple of times. I think his numbers should have been better than what they were. But let's see what else. Yeah, I think that in the second half, when the New York Jets came out the second half, there was a concerted effort to stop Jordan Mason, and then he got one big run towards the end that helped some of his stats out. But Javon Kinlaw was a non-factor to me again. He had 3 tackles, but I think that he tricked the Jet fans into thinking that he was going to be more than what he was. And Quinn Williams, he was exactly what I expected him to be. Uh, but then some of their guys just went down. When Mobley went down, I thought that was big. When Clemens went down, I thought that was big. Who else? There was somebody else that got hurt. Um, Somebody else I saw go down, but I can't remember who it was now. Oh, well, and then they lost Sauce, which I think was a huge loss for them. Um, as far as their offense, Alan Lazard ended up with 2 touchdowns. How did he end up with 2 touchdowns? Oh, because it was one from each quarterback. And then Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, I think, is a really good receiver, but he's not a number one, in my opinion. I think he's a really good player, but in my opinion, he's not a number one. And Alan Lazard is obviously not a number one. I think they have for the most part 2 twos, and then they have Brees Hall. But if Brees Hall they need to block it up a little bit better for him. Because in this game today, our defensive line was getting way too much penetration for him to even be effective at all. And but who else can we talk about? This is obviously going to be a short show. I'm doing another show tomorrow with Beto. Keep an eye out for my guys. Make sure you give this video a like. Make sure that you give it a subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell so you get the notifications for when I go live. We're on Twitter. We're on Twitter, Twitch, obviously YouTube, and we're on Facebook. I'm on anywhere you can get your audio podcast. So make sure that even if you don't want to look at my face, you can get the audio version. It's fine. Listen to the smoothie sounds, silky sounds of 49er football anytime you want. And tomorrow we're going on with my guy Beto and Brandon. We should be on tomorrow. It's 6:30 Pacific time, and then I'm going to do another show getting you ready for next week's game. But the next game for the four, I just want to talk real quick before we get to the next game. There was a lot of talk in this offseason, and there was a lot from 49er fans, but there was a lot of talk about Super Bowl hangovers, and there was a lot of talk about just this team being the last ride, and they're too old, like all these things. It seems like there's so many narratives out there that they want to make the 49ers bet, because the 49ers are doing things that teams they're just disproving all of the narratives. That normally when you lose a Super Bowl, there normally is a hangover. I don't see that with this team. Everybody was talking about the vibes were off. Well, yeah, when you're missing Trent Williams and you're missing Ayuk in the practice, the vibes are going to be off. But they got back in. Those guys got paid, and we were back. In the game, they were missing. I mean, Trent Williams just came back, so he wasn't full strength. Ayuk was not full strength. CMC wasn't playing. Who else? Dre Greenlaw wasn't playing. Talanoa Hufanga didn't play today. That's a lot for most teams. If they were in the same circumstances, this would have at least been a close game. If not been going the other way, and the other team would have probably lost the game. But I think it's a testament to the 49ers culture. As much as people talk bad about, including myself sometimes, talk bad about Shanny and about his inability sometimes to look past his ego and do the things that just to get himself over the hump. He's a really good coach. John Lynch is they're a really good team. And the culture that's in place was on full display today. Those guys, the 49ers are a tough football team that will still want to physically dominate you and just break your spirit. And I felt like that's what they did to the Jets today. And I don't want to dance on the Jets' grave because I think that team could be a good team. They could be a good team, and I think we haven't seen the best of Jets football because I think as Aaron Rodgers gets some more rapport with his receivers, I think there was a lot of miscommunication, and I think that there was a lot of him just not being on the same page with his team. Um, he just needs to play more with them, but at the same time, that we saw a lot of weirdness in this week one across the NFL, and the it's just so for the 49ers to come out here and play the way that they did, and to just put it to a team that was against a good quarterback and put it against a team that was not favored. I shouldn't say that, but is supposed to be a good team. And if the line was on, I think it was only 3.5 points, which is really a coin flip because the 49ers were at home. And to perform the way that they did without CMC, without Talanoa Funga, without Greenlaw, I thought is a testament to the roster that they have and the amount of depth that this team actually has. I think their best football for all the people that downplayed this defensive line. I said at the beginning, I'm not going to say I told you so, but I told you so. I told you that I thought this defensive line was going to be very good. I don't think that they have a lot of depth, but I think them just getting back to their old scheme of just letting these guys penetrate is going to pay off huge dividends. And that's what we saw from this defense. They were flying around everywhere. There wasn't a ton. People were going to say, oh, they didn't have missed tackles like they did last year. No, what happened is the fact that they weren't left on islands this year. It wasn't just one guy out there and depending on making a tackle. What happened in this game was everybody was flying to the ball, and if somebody missed a tackle, there was a guy right behind him to clean it up, and that was the key. That was the key of all the D'Amico defenses. That was the key to the Robert Saleh defenses. That was the key to all of that. The whole scheme is that they swarm to the ball. And I loved seeing it. I loved seeing us get back to 49er football. That's what it felt like to me. Long story short, I felt like we got back to 49er football. We hit them in the mouth, and the 49ers hit them in the mouth, and at a certain point, they couldn't get back up. But like I said, I think that the Jets were a good litmus test for the 49ers because they had a really good. I think they still really have a really good defense, and I want to see more of what I saw today from this offense in those types of games when they're going up against better defenses. But I think it's going to get harder and harder as they get throughout the year and teams get a chance to see what they're doing. So week one is over. We're not going to overreact, but I think the 49ers looked really good. 49ers looked really good. And as they work these other players back into the fold, I think that the best football we haven't, it's not even close to the best football the 49ers are going to play this season. I think that Brock Purdy is going to take a step forward. I'm not going out on a limb by saying that, but I think that he's going to take a significant step forward this year. I think we're about to see something special out of the kid. And so get ready. Pull up your bootstraps, Niner fans. The season has began. Week one is in the books. 49ers win 32-19. Next week, they have a game. Who are we playing? We play the Vikings. The Sam Darnold revenge game. Also special treat, and only the people that are watching the show right now are going to find out about it. But I will. So I'm on my show with Beto and Brandon tomorrow. But Thursday, I've got a special treat. We've got Mr. Jason Aponte of the Sprint and Right Option podcast of Bully Ball Niner Nation. He will be on the show on Thursday with me, and we're going to talk all kinds of 49er football. We're also probably going to talk some Wu-Tang, so get ready. Get ready. I'm going to have my shirt on. I'm going to be ready for it. I'm going to brush up on all my lyrics. We're going to get it cracking. So be prepared. But I'm going to get out of here. Man, football is back. Football is back. 49er football is back. We are 1-0. 49ers are 1-0. We go. Do we go there? Yeah, we go to Minnesota. And we do not have a good record in Minnesota. But I want the 49ers to go in there and set a tone. But let's ride high on this victory this week. We got plenty of time to talk about next week and this coming weekend. But everybody enjoy this win. Enjoy the fact that you root for a team that is. We're a really good team, guys. We are a really good team. All the doom and gloom, and I'm not going to mention any content creators' names, but all the doom and gloom, all of the complaining, all of the just the nonsense that people keep talking, and it's not over, because the minute something doesn't go right with the 49ers, they're going to be back and they're going to be saying, see, I told you they should have blah, 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 blah. Just enjoy the team. Enjoy the season. I think we have a really good team. We have a chance to be right where we're right where they were last season in the Super Bowl. Let's just hope that they get over the hump this year. But until then, like I said, enjoy this victory, guys. We are 1-0. We are tied with the Seahawks for the division, and enjoy it. Like I said, make sure you give the video a like. Make sure that you make sure you give me a subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell so you get the notifications for when I go live. And make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend so we can be friends. I put this show, I'm advertising everywhere. I need you guys to tell people to come and be a part of the community. Come and watch with us. Come and watch with us. Come and talk. Let's have a conversation about where this team can go and how much fun this team is to watch. But until then, I will see you guys tomorrow on the channel. And until then, go Niners.